Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the annual partners meeting of the FoodSTART Plus project. This is the third partners meeting after the one we held in the Philippines in 2016 and the last year, 2017, in Vietnam. The partners meeting will last 4 days, and today we have the privilege to attend the business launch of the 6 farmers-managed micro-enterprises that have been established in Meghalaya through the piloting of the Farmers Business School approach. We are delighted to have with us in this occasion the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Preston Tinson. Thank you very much for being here with us. We have other government dignitaries and a wider representation of agricultural organizations working to develop and promote agricultural systems that are able to ensure a more secure, sustainable, resilient, and prosperous state of Meghalaya. Since many of you are not familiar with the project, I will first present a brief outline of FoodSTART in order to provide some background to the two-day event. However, I cannot move on without first showing my deepest appreciation to the Meghalaya Basin Development Authorities, or MBDA, for hosting the partners meeting. MBDA is the implementing agency of the Livelihood and Access to Markets project, LAMP, one of the IFAD investments with whom FoodSTART Plus has been working with for 3 years now to implement a wide range of research and development actions and capacity building interventions, of which the Food Farmers Business School is just one of a very important example. Believe me, the organization of this event was extremely stressful and has required a huge effort by the staff of both the International Potato Center, CAP, and MBDA. And I cannot help but mentioning just a few key resources in MBDA, starting from Mr. Sahai, the project director of LAMP, Mr. Shampoo, officer on official duties, Mr. Shred, director of MBDA, and Ms. Charkandi and her colleagues from the knowledge management team. Thank you very much, because without your support it would not be impossible to organize such a huge event today and the rest of the week. Now, I would like to briefly introduce to the FoodSTART Plus project to provide some background. So the FoodSTART stands for Food Resilience through Roots and Tuber Crops in Upland and Coastal Community of the Asia Pacific. It's a grant funded by IFAD and the European Union, and is implemented by the International Potato Center in collaboration with CIAT. The project goal is to enhance food resilience among poor households in the Asia-Pacific region through introducing roots and tuber crops innovations within the framework of IFAD investments. The project objective is to assess food vulnerabilities among poor roots and tuber crops producing and consuming households, understand their needs and opportunities for roots and tubers crops innovation for enhanced food resilience, and design and implement gender-responsive innovation with partners and the local stakeholders. And finally, we develop and validate effective partnership strategies with IFAD investment projects. And as you can see, these project objectives are pretty much aligned with the IFAD strategic framework, with the current IFAD strategic framework 1625. In particular, the objective to increase the productive capacities of rural people, their opportunity to benefit from market participation, and to strengthen sustainability and the climate resilience of these rural communities. Many might wonder why roots and tubers for climate change resilience. As you can see in this map, then there will be a specific presentation later on by my colleague from CIAT, Rio, tomorrow, for some of you. As you can see here is the climate suitability map of maize. We picked one of the key crops in India, maize. And the first, unfortunately I don't have a pointer, but the first on top left corner you can see the current situation. The green is the suitable area for growing maize. And then you can see projections until 2090s. And you can see that the area suitable to maize will shrink. Now, if I show you the similar map for cassava on the bottom left and potato on the bottom right, you can see that there is not much change predicted by the models. So it's very likely that in the future, roots and tuber crops will become more important crops within the food systems in Asia. Apart from this long-term effect in terms of global warming due to more unpredicted droughts and rainfalls in Asia, roots and tubers are also very important to cope with extreme weather events that are brought by climate change. In this picture, you can see on the bottom, you can see two pictures of the impact of the typhoon Yolanda in the Philippines 2013. You can see in the background some coconut plantation of bananas that have been completely destroyed by the typhoon, while you can see in front some sweet potato plants that have been beaten by the typhoon but were able to recover quickly. On the top right, you can see another picture. This is for a more recent typhoon that hit the central Philippines, the Doksuri typhoon in September last year. And again, we have evidence that particular sweet potatoes was a very resilient crop. But in this picture, you will see a lady harvesting cassava. In this case, the cassava plant was damaged, but the root was underground, so it was still available. So cassava was very important to ensure food availability in the weeks immediately after the typhoon. Furthermore, these crops, particularly sweet potato and potato, have a very short cycle, so can be used to recover quickly from the impact of these extreme events. Now, FoodSTART, as I mentioned at the beginning, works in partnership with IFAD Investments. We are here, we've hosted by LAMP in India, but we work also with SRDP in Vietnam, Solid in Indonesia, and Fish Cora and REMP in the Philippines. And basically, what we do is to provide our expertise from the CGR Center in terms of research and technology demonstration, technical backstopping, capacity building. We support the documentation, the production of knowledge products. We try also to provide input and support to IFAD country office programs. And particularly relevant for today, we conduct a value chain analysis and assessments, and based on that we devise intervention to support the development of the value chain, particularly through the Farmers Business School approach. Now a few things about the roots and tubers in Meghalaya. We work in two districts. We work in East Khasi Hills, you can see in pink on the right hand side, and in Garo Hills on the western part of the state. Why we have chosen these two districts, target districts? Here you can see the importance of potato. On top you can see the area located of potatoes. Again, I don't have a pointer, but the blue is the highest one. So you can see that East Khasi is very important for potato production. About 64% of potato production in Meghalaya comes from East Khasi Hills. So of course was a natural choice for us to work in this district. The second most important roots and tuber in Meghalaya is cassava. And as you can see, again, the western part of the country, that is our target site, is where we can find the highest production or area allocated to cassava. But there is another issue. If you look at the bottom right, you will notice the red area. So this is the area where the cassava productivity is the lowest. So we have the whole lowest yield in the area where there is the highest area allocated to cassava. So definitely this was a good reason for us to target a specific area. This is my last slide. Through scoping studies, we have identified some opportunities for roots and tuber crops in Meghalaya. Meghalaya is prone to disasters, from a bit like the Philippines. So from earthquakes, floods, typhoons, landslides. So of course, as explained before, roots and tuber crops are very good to enhance the resilience of farming communities to these events. And we have also found a great diversity of roots and tuber crops produced by smallholders, and only potatoes is the crop produced on larger scale in this part of the state. So what we found is there is a really need to enhance access to quality planting material. There is a big issue here with pest and disease, so we have to identify some improved varieties that are tolerant to these increased threats to pest and disease. And we have also identified opportunities for enhanced post-harvest management and marketing, and also for value-adding opportunities, including integration with the livestock sector. So these opportunities have driven the development of the collaborative work plans with LAMP. In particular, looking at the last item, the Farmers Business School has been identified as an ideal approach to enhance farmers' access and promote value addition. This morning, before moving into the actual business launch ceremony in the other room, I will introduce you to the Farmers Business approach in a bit more detail, and a brief video will be shown. But before this, I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Jerry Pactoran, that is the Chief Program Officer of IFAD Philippines and the Task Manager of FoodSTART, and is also leading the IFAD Supervision Mission to this project. So I will welcome you on behalf of IFAD and the IFAD Supervision team. So we heard a lot about Farmers Business Schools, or FBS. Many of you, of course, are familiar. Many of you are collaborating in implementing Farmers Business School in their own countries. But again, I would like to provide some background for the rest of you that are not very much familiar with that. So, the Farmers Business School is a methodology to strengthen farmers' entrepreneurships. But why is that so important to strengthen farmers' entrepreneurship? Well, we know that smallholder farmers have a very limited market access, and their sales are mostly confined to nearby markets or through traders with no or limited value addition. And this is primarily due to their limited business skills, ineffective farmers' organizations, inadequate access to accurate market information, and also very limited understanding of the available market opportunities out there. So our challenge is to enable smallholder farmers to participate in agricultural value chains by building their capacities, either individually or in groups, to target and exploit emerging market opportunities. So let me provide a definition of the Farmers Business School and a bit of the origins. FBS is a participatory action learning approach to support farmers' group participation in and benefit from agricultural value chains. And the learning process is based on the principle of Farmers Business Schools. I'm pretty much confident many of you are familiar with the concept of Farmers Business Schools. And it's based on, similar to Farmers Business Schools, is based on group-based experiential learning. So, as you can see, in this figure is how the concept of FBS developed, starting from the concept of FFS, Farmers Field Schools. And by integrating some principle and approach of the participatory market chain approach, a value chain development methodology that has been developed and implemented by CIP, by the International Potato Science Plan. So, both in the Farmers Business School and the Farmers Business School, the participants are farmers, but in the latter, there is a strong interaction with other value chain actors and stakeholders. In the Farmers Business School, the learning cycle covers the production cycle of the crop, while in the case of Farmers Business School, cover both the production and marketing sides and aspects. And the learning crop in the Farmers Business School, the learning content of the Farmers Business School focus on production aspects, on primary production aspects, while in the case of Farmers Business School, we look more at learning content based on value chain context and market innovations. So, the Farmers Business School, FBS, is a school, and as any school, has a curriculum. So this is the most recent updated general curriculum of FBS. is made of 7 modules and more or less 25 sessions. So farmers groups are expected to gather usually once a week, and in such a way the whole process will take usually between 5 and 10 months. The curriculum is highly adaptable, so it really depends on the needs and opportunities out there. The first curriculum, the first FBS, was introduced and piloted in Indonesia in 2009, and since then we have learned a lot, and we have improved the curriculum by adding some modules or trimming out other components that were not so relevant. But this is where we are now. And 2 important additions we've done over the last few years is to look, to pay more attention to gender aspects, so to have more gender lens in the implementation of the curriculum, and also taking into consideration aspects related to climate change. So what is the FBS goal? Is to develop market-driven production innovations, to establish and expand market linkages, and to generate additional profit from increased sales and values of the products of the farmers' business group, school groups. It is a very practical approach. You will see later today. And there is a very tangible outcome of the FBS process, whereas the participants are expected to have some micro, small enterprises and business initiated or strengthened by the end of the FBS cycle. Really, the most successful case of FBS implementation was in the Philippines in partnership with another IFAD investment, CHARM2. And I would like to look at this experience because this is something we can really learn from, and I hope this can be adopted in the framework of the current partnerships. So with CHARM2, we adapted the curriculum of the FBS, and we started piloting with only 6 groups, exactly where we are today with LAM. Only 6 groups. And this is what we can call piloting phase. Afterward, CHARM2, still with the support of IFAD, there was still a grant, IFAD grant going on at that time. So by 2015, 76 farmers business schools had been conducted in CHARM2, with a total of over 1,700 graduates from farmers business school, 83% women. And this was, SIP was still providing technical backstopping and support and building the capacities, but really there was strong commitment by our partner. And they were particularly interested in this model because they experienced that the grants and loans provided by the investment were better used by the farmers that had strengthened capacities to develop viable and sustainable enterprises and business. We don't want to take the full credit, but I think it was quite interesting that the IFAD rating of the CHARM2 relevant component is called AIGA, Agricultural Business Income Generation Activity, went up from 2, unsatisfactory, to 4, moderately satisfactory. And I think that somehow FBS contributed to this improvement, substantial improvement. Then we try to look into the impact of FBS on the life of people. We want to impact on the livelihoods. So we have used one methodology, very qualitative. It was capturing outcome stories through the most significant change methodology. And tomorrow you will see on display a book presented the stories that were captured through this methodology in CHARM2 setting. And now we have in pipeline a quantitative impact assessment of FBS in CHARM2. What is really interesting is that since then our grant was over. This was the end of the story. But for me it's a matter of pride to highlight that currently IFAD provided 2 years extension to that project, and now they extend the FBS to 18 additional villages. And now being graduate of FBS became a prerequisite for accessing the livelihood support fund provided by the project. So it's really, it's great to see that the IFAD investment is going on, is still implementing, even without having the technical support. For us, it's a matter of pride when we can exit, step out from a project, see things going on even without support. For me, means that we have done a good job. Then it's also interesting that the FPS has been adopted, or even sometimes adapted by local government units and also by the field root crop, that is a large research program on roots and tuber crops in the Philippines, and we have here Julie Roa that represent field roots. So it was a sort of scale out outside our boundaries. So now in the framework of the current project, FoodSTART Plus, we are piloting with fish coral in the Philippines with 28 groups, if I'm not mistaken. In Rent, we had a business launch a couple of weeks ago of the first 6 pilots. Of course, we have lamb, and we have a solid where we are implementing 10 pilots. Now, many of you might wonder, okay, before I mentioned resilience, but what is the relationship between farmers business school, market linkages, and resilience? Well, the FPS promotes value addition and macro enterprise development. So the way I see is that there are one direct and one indirect impact in terms of resilience. First, FPS contributes to income generation and diversification. So that means that it contributes to make households and community more resilient. And the second is we work primarily, although non-exclusively, on roots and tuber crops in FPS. So through FPS we create a sort of mechanism of market pool to incentivize the cultivation of roots and tuber crops that, as explained before, are crops more resilient than others to climate change. And I believe that also FPS is very relevant to IFAD. If we look at the cost of Philippines, there are 3 main pillars. I think you can tell me if I'm wrong. One is competitiveness, the other is resilience, and the other is inclusion. And I will not go into details, but we are ticking with FPS all 3 boxes. Now, a few words about what is our experience in terms of facilitating factors for successful FPS implementation. First, it's very important to have a very good collaboration between IFAD grant, such as FoodSTART, and IFAD partner investments. Activities to have a strong empowerment, a strong buy-in into the process. The activities must be jointly planned, implemented, and often funded. And each partner, the grant and the partner investment, should contribute with their available resources and capacities. In particular, in the case of FPS, the grant, FoodSTART in this case, can provide expert input, capacity building, and also technologies and innovations for scaling, particularly in the case of roots and tuber crops. Don't ask us to work on maize, but we can help linking with relevant research organizations. But our strength is to work on roots and tuber crops. On the other hand, the implementing agency, what they offer, they have amazing capacity to mobilize the farmers, to mobilize the facilitators. Each school must have at least 2 facilitators, so they have the capacity to mobilize these people, to mobilize business development service providers and other support organizations. On the other hand, they can also provide farmers group with the financial resources needed for market testing and launching of their innovations. Sometimes farmers group need some small equipment, so this cannot come from the grant. This usually will come from the loans. And this is my last slide on some lessons learned I would like to share. First of all, emphasize again that the partnership with IFAD investment is key. FPS, I don't see FPS happening with only the resource of the grant. I think really you need a strong partnership on the ground. Then I want to highlight the flexibility and capacity to adapt of FPS to the specific needs, opportunity, and context with the different investments. FPS, first of all, is what we call commodity neutral approach. As I said, we try to promote roots and tuber crops through FPS, but it can be applicable to a number of different commodities. So for instance, in the case of fish coral, we ended up working with fish. Or in the case of shampoo, we ended up working with coffee. So it's very flexible approach, and a number of commodities can be, value chain of commodities can be developed through this approach. We developed a general manual that contains the curriculum I showed you before, but this needed adaptation. For instance, we adapted the curriculum to the needs of shampoo, inland, and fish coral. In the case of fish coral, the partner suggested to rename the project into the approach into aqua-based business school because it was fitting much more their purpose, that is targeting fisher folks in the Philippines. And finally, in response to specific requests to partner investment, we have developed Farmers Business School monitoring guide because they were asked, okay, great, we are implementing, but we are not really able to monitor the process. Can you support as a grant developing of tools and approaches for monitoring? And finally, also the production of simplified learning guides ready to use in the field that will complement the general manual that you can see today displayed in the other room. So I think for today that's all. You can see many more about FoodSTART in our project website, and you can download all the publications you will see today are available for download from the project website. Thank you very much.